Hey, Boy Manning here. Welcome to a live edition of the Garden Report, and we are live. We're going to see how this connection holds up here in Dallas. Live from downtown Dallas, both myself and Tim Cato coming to you from the heart of Dallas here as we get ready for Game 3 of the NBA Finals, coming right off Game 2. Flew back down today, both of us did, and I don't know where the series is going now that it flipped sides here. It didn't look too good for Dallas up in Boston. Kyrie had his struggles. Luka, playing through injury, had his ups and downs despite 30-point performances in both games. The Celtics pulled out two really good wins up there. So we're going to talk about it here with Tim Cato from The Athletic. What's your biggest takeaway from the first two games up in Boston, Tim, as this finals get started?
I think it's just that Boston is a very, very, very good team, a great team. You know, like this is a team that is very difficult to play against. I think they've nullified a lot of what makes Dallas so good. I think that Dallas is a very good team, deserving to be in the finals. You know, they are one of the best three teams in the league, and Boston is just so difficult to play against. Like I've watched these first two games, and I've seen, you know, if the game's there's different ways that 2-0 series can, you know, go about. And if I had watched these games and if I had seen Dallas have stuff that made sense, like they are going to get more from Kyrie. I'm sure of that. I expect that to happen in games 3 and 4. They're going to get a little bit more from some of the role players. But Dallas is also searching for answers. And Boston is here on the other side, getting every shot they want, even if they don't go down. And that's not a good place to be in if you're Boston, if you're Dallas. If this was a different type of 2-0 lead, if this was, something where Boston actually just came out and like blew Dallas away in game 2, but they did it because they made all their 3-point shots. That, if I'm Dallas, that would actually give me more optimism because that's a game that's going to happen once this series, and then it just happened. But it hasn't been that. It's been much more, even from the eye test, even from what we're seeing, Dallas lost the 3-point variance game that went in their favor. And that's not a good place to be if you're Dallas, right now looking at a 0-2 hole.
Yeah, and that's one thing I looked up coming down here. 1 and 3, the Celtics were shooting below 26% from 3. During the regular season. They've been a lot better. I think that we're actually over 500 when they shot below the league average, 36% from 3, 6% from 3 like they did. Pretty exemplary of their versatility.
Wow, it's just me. Where'd Bobby go? This is unbelievable. I'm gonna have to monologue here because I think we're live. So he was talking about 3-pointers. I'm just gonna go for a second. This is fun. I've never had to do a solo pod before. I'm gonna tell Bobby that he should try the Wi-Fi, not the hotspot again. Maybe he'll hop back in here. But yeah, Boston shot really badly, and that's not a good thing. Not a good thing if you're Dallas. So, one thing. Hey, Bobby, welcome back. I'm just kind of monologuing here.
Thanks.
I'm doing a solo podcast. It's a lot of fun.
My show.
I've never had to do it before. All of a sudden, it's it's like the I'm the captain now meme. It's a lot of power. What I was going to say about Dallas is that Dallas has done Dallas has built a scheme that makes sense for 28 teams in the league, and I still think they're going to figure it out a little bit more. I think of Derek Lively is like just an enormous X factor in this series. He obviously looked overwhelmed in games 1 and 2 as a, rookie in the finals. He's 20. His life story is even more tragic than that. I've written a little bit about that. Not to bring that up in the context of basketball. That's different. But I want to make the point that he is a rookie. He's 20. Like, this is someone that you can expect, you can understand if he is not going to perform at his best. But he's the player that Dallas has to get going. Like, he has to be the player who is switchable and also rim protecting. Boston was 15 of 15 in game 1 at the rim. They were 20 of 26 in game 2. All series, all postseason, really for, ever since the trade deadline, ever since Dallas really got rolling, this is something that has been a strength of theirs, the rim protection. And because there is no one on Boston that you can confidently sag off of, and Dallas tried a few different people, and I thought Boston was really smart, just putting their guards at the dunker spot and kind of generating points that way as well, because Dallas had to spread out so much. Like that rim protection isn't there, but Dallas also isn't limiting them 3-point shots. And so, maybe Lively just comes back home and figures it out. There's a good chance the role players shoot a little bit better there. I still expect Kyrie to be better, but I also expect Boston to be better. And that's the scary thing, that for all the improvements that Dallas can make on their own end, there might be similar ones, against the opponent that they're facing. And that's not a recipe to, tie this series 2-2.
What do you think's going on with Kyrie?
I mean, I said after game 1 that he just got shots that he makes and he missed them. And I think I want to say the same thing after game 2. Look, Boston's absolutely bothering him. Like, this is not a scheme thing. In Oklahoma City, against Oklahoma City, he was not great. He averaged something like, 16 points a game. And that was what Oklahoma City designed their defense to do to him. They trapped him a lot. They recognized that he was not going to make the pass as easily as Luka does out of a high trap, near the midcourt line, just because he's smaller. Luka can just jump up over and make that pass over. Kyrie can't do that. And so Oklahoma City wanted to limit him. I don't think Boston wants to limit him. And that's the problem. Boston is coming out here and saying, you have 2 stars. We're going to make them score and prove themselves. Luka did that in game 2. He played a good game in game 1, but I thought he was, just, unplayable. And I forget, I watch a lot of soccer, and I forget that unplayable has different meanings for soccer. In soccer, it's a good thing. In basketball, it's a bad thing. Luka was in fuego, in game 2, and I thought he got the Boston defense to shift towards him more. It wasn't blitzes, it wasn't pure double teams, but the help definitely shaded in his direction. And opportunistically, there was times where Peyton Pritchard would scream around from the top side and force a turnover or stuff like that. Kyrie hasn't done that, and for Dallas to get back to, for their offense to look like it did for a lot of the regular season, the postseason, Kyrie has to also make Boston make that switch defensively, where they are shading more help to him, where they're really changing what they're trying to do. And Kyrie just has given no semblance that he's going to do that. He's getting locked up consistently by these very, very, very good guards that Boston has. And absolutely. When I look at the offense and I look what Dallas has failed at, I think, it's got to start with Kyrie. It absolutely starts with Kyrie.
Do you think Dallas will keep showing the amount of pressure that they've shown against Tatum? Because that's obviously what's allowed him to have a 12-assist game at this point and just get everybody involved and spray all these passes around. I understand it to try to limit him, and they have from a scoring perspective and frustrate him. And, even to some of the kids' comments there, you see just what they're trying to do in terms of trying to get Tatum to, be a guy who just takes a million shots and tries to get his own. But he hasn't done that to this point. So you think that'll change?
I mean, I definitely think they're collapsing on him when he drives. So the problem is that he's driving so easily. I just saw this tweet. I don't know where it's at, but he had like 26 drives in game 2. And that's it's a postseason high, something close to a regular season high. Dallas can't stay in front. And it's a little weird to me that I really think so much of Derrick Jones Jr. as a point of attack defender. he hasn't been that good defensively in this series. He's had moments, absolutely. But, I guess I'm wondering, and I was talking about how Boston nullifies some of Dallas's scheme, is that all of these defenders for months now have been so used to, favoring the hand, like forcing them to the middle, really. Like usually when you're a defender, you want to force them to the baseline, to the corner. Dallas favors, like a guy on the wing. They want them to drive middle because they know how much help they're going to have there. They know they have resources, that they have, teammates ready to stick up for them. And because Boston pulls apart, they just stretch it out, like I don't know, like a croissant. Like you're just, it's like halfway through, like ripping a croissant apart. Like that's what this Dallas defense has looked like. Just a little bit more stretched, a little bit, less connective than what I saw from them, which was a genuinely impressive defense for, like I said, months now. And I guess that's probably the best answer I have for why the point of attack stuff is not working. And then, of course, the other reason is that Jason Tatum is a very good player and that he has been very good in both games, despite the shooting, that he has made an impact. So I do think they're still going to focus most of their attention, more of their attention around him than other players. I just think that Dallas has to be better defensively, even in the one-on-one matchups, even with their best players, supposedly, being players who can stop him. That's where they got to be better. And if that doesn't change, then the series is over. Not in, it's not a Celtics win. It's a sweep. If Tatum keeps doing this every game, like there is no chance Dallas can win, especially because I think we all expect that he will have better shooting performances coming up.
What have you thought of Kristaps so far? Obviously some uncertainty now with his health again in this series, which you probably could have expected. If he's limited,
used to it, yeah.
If he's out even in these Dallas games, how much does that change things?
Oh, so much, so much. I'm impressed with him, and it just like I'm proud's not the right word. I'm a media member, but like I watched this guy unable to make these shots, like consistently just knock down these shots. I remember his last season in Dallas. I don't have it in front of me, but he was shooting like 32% on threes. And I remember talking to him, like he was someone I really enjoyed covering. And I'm sure you've kind of got the same experience, that he's one of the most self-aware, maybe not always self-aware of how but he's willing to talk about how he thinks about the game. He's willing to go through everything that's going through his mind about this thing happened. So I tried this and that didn't work. And then I realized this other thing needs to happen. Like he is very open and honest about how he processes the sport. And for as open as honest as he is, I remember when he was just missing shots in Dallas last season, right before he got traded, he was just like, I don't know. I don't know why they're not going down. And, those around the team were like, yeah, we don't know why they're not going down. Like he's a very good shooter. So for him to come back, for him to really find this, this balance, this equilibrium, for him to embrace analytics, my colleague Jay King wrote a really good piece about that. For him to understand that there are ways that, that the numbers can show what makes a good shot for him or not. I think that has all been, just like such a cool journey for a player who was the first unicorn, and maybe there are unicorns surpassing him, but he's somebody that Wembanyama should be looking up to. And I think he will be, as Porzingis comes back, and assuming he's healthy, or, if he's able to continue this type of performances in the next few games, I really do think that this is like just such a, iconic player, like the first of an archetype that, may have raced past him, but he started this whole thing. He's the first one. And I think that's really fair to say in terms of like just the, just the monster two-way performances, the rim protector and three-point shot maker that he's been.
What's it going to look like if Dallas does turn this around at home? You mentioned Kyrie a little bit, and Luka, what he's done to this point, carrying most of the weight. The role guys, you mentioned Lively in particular, needing to get involved, obviously, here. A lot has to change, certainly. But is it going to be more Luka just higher height and stealing a game or two here? Or is it going to be other guys stepping up?
I think it has to be the other guys, because like this is what I expect from Luka. throughout the rest of the series. Like, I don't think he can give anymore. He was clearly completely, he had given everything. He was gassed in the fourth quarter. Kyrie didn't step up, but he was deferring to Kyrie, and he was doing that on purpose. Like, I think that was something that he understood, that he did not have the ability to keep doing that. He is dealing with injuries. And he's dealing with, the constant targeting that Boston is sending against him. Like, he's had to defend a lot. He has had good moments, but he has not quite looked like the defender that he has been for a lot of this postseason and a lot of even this regular season. And so, yeah, I think it's Kyrie. I think it starts with Kyrie, and then I think it goes to Derek Lively, and then it goes to any role player who can make an open shot. Like, I think Dante Exum is going to be the first player off the bench, not tomorrow, 2 days from now, in Game 3. Because he made one shot. He made one open shot, and that's enough right now. When you look at the role players, none of them are doing that. So you play the guy who made one open shot, and you see if he can do it. And Dante Exum was fantastic for Dallas in the regular season. It's been, a real bummer. Another player I've enjoyed, covering and talking to. He was so good for them in the regular season, and he's gone absent a little bit. And for him to be someone, he's had 8 3-pointer game, like 8 made threes in a game against the Lakers when people, dared him to shoot consistently throughout a game. This is something he is potentially capable of. So yeah, I think Dallas needs Kyrie. They need Derek Lively to be as good, if not better, about like truly being a switchy perimeter, a big who's capable of defending on the perimeter, and also someone who can still get to the paint and disrupt some of this, just ridiculously good, rim shooting that Boston has had. But I also think that they need at least one role player they trust to make those shots. And hey, they say role players shoot better at home. It's those 3 things, and it's the role players, but it's about performances. I don't think there's a strategy adjustment. It's about the players playing better, and so far they just haven't.
Yeah, what's going on with the shooting right now? It's bad across the board for all of these guys. Like you said, Exum making one, it was like, woo. If he missed that, it would have really went downhill from that point on. Yeah,
I mean, first time they've been on the stage. I'm sure that's a little bit of it. And they have inconsistent shooters. They have streaky shooters. Like, this is something that Dallas has had to deal with. But when Boston is not giving them those corner looks, it's a lot harder to build that rhythm. There's a couple times where Derek Jones Jr. had an air ball. PJ Washington had a couple misses. But I just remember them going up for the shots, and it's like, it's been 10 minutes since you've had to, do this muscle memory that, is going to determine whether the shot goes down or not. And that's a credit to the way that Boston is playing them. And, if you can live with, the Luka points, and certainly they have through 2 games. And if you can say, even if he's making shots, even if he's getting to the rim, he had 5 shots in the restricted area in game 1, the most he's had in any game in the playoffs. And it took a lot out of him. He kept hitting the floor, like nobody knows. Even Luka said he didn't know where this chest injury that popped up came from, which he said it maybe was a charge, but like maybe he was hitting the floor time and time again, because that is, Boston kept giving him the lane and the rim. They were being very, diligent and not over helping onto him and giving his teammates, the shots that they've been getting all postseason. And all of a sudden Luka's more banged up, and it's taking a lot out of him. And he's being someone who that Boston is focusing a lot of their attacks on. And so it's a combination of the Boston and the stage and just the inconsistency that these players have. So, maybe it'll be better at home. Maybe it won't. If it isn't, then the series, maybe I'm canceling my my flight back to Boston. That's already in the books. I think we're going to get at least a 5-game series, but that's the type of situation we're looking at if the role players don't make shots. And I've been monologuing for quite a while now. I just want to say, I keep saying, like, this thing has to change or Dallas is, screwed. And I've said that like 3 times about 3 different things. So that kind of comes. I think all those things can change. I'm just saying there's like several different things that have to change for Dallas to become competitive, like more than competitive, but like even up the series in these 2 games at home.
Yeah, and that was going to be my last question for you is this series over at this point? Do you have a level of confidence Dallas can turn this around and really make it a series? Like, where is your level of confidence in that at this point? And if not, what has made Boston so overwhelming to the point where it doesn't look like Dallas is on their level so far in this series, despite what Dallas has gone through in the West, Minnesota, and all these different tests they've had out there?
I'm not quite at white flags, territory. I think it's a little bit early to be there with this team. Some of that comes from the fact that I have watched this team. I've watched them erase deficits over and over again, both in this postseason and in the regular season. I was in Phoenix 2 years ago when Dallas went down 0-2 and then came back in that series. Like I've seen this team, and I guess specifically I've seen Luka show a type of resiliency, he came out of a game. He was so good in those first 2 games against Phoenix, and Dallas lost both of them handily. And he was picked on. He was picked on defensively over and over again. And then all of a sudden he comes back out and, he's fantastic the rest of the time. And, that's where, all the memes that we see so often come from. So look, proximity bias, just from covering this team so closely, I'm not willing to rule them out. I still think that some of these things that can change, that need to change, I think are able to change. It's just a lot of things that have got to change. A lot of players got to be better. Why has it been so hard? Or like, why has Boston been so good? Was the other part of your question. I think we're, if Boston wins this series, we're going to look back at this team as a historically great team. I genuinely believe that. Everything about their numbers, about their wins, about the way that they rolled through the Eastern Conference, which is weaker than the West, but it's not easy per se. You got a lot of advantage with injuries to star players, but I just think this Boston team is really good. I think historically it is the best space team. Maybe not the best shooting because of those Steph Warriors teams. It is the best space team of all time. We have never seen an NBA team have a 7-man rotation that you cannot, an 8-man rotation where every single player will shoot 8 threes in a half if you give them to them. And that's special, man. That's where the NBA is headed more and more. But Boston was the first team to do it, and win or lose. And again, it's obviously massively favoring the fact that they're going to win the series. They were the first team to really, bring in a era that I think over the next decade or two, we're going to see constantly in the NBA.
Here's the bonus question, the most important one of the night. Where can I get some food in Dallas this time of night?
This time of night, 10 p.m. Let's see. Pop over to Rodeo Bar. That's my home spot, and their kitchen's open till midnight, maybe 11. But you've got an hour here. They've got real solid food. It's got a lot of Texas motifs. Tell them I sent you, and they'll take good care of you.
All right, I love it. Tim Cato, appreciate him taking over. I think that's a first, Tim, taking over the whole show due to my
show now.
Issues here.
Yeah, it's absolutely my show now. So I'll do the closer. Thanks, listeners, for listening. It appreciate you tuning in on a Monday night. We've got a show coming probably later this week, I'm sure, and we'll see you next time.
Appreciate that. I'll do the ad reads. Don't worry about those, Tim.
Okay, thank God.
And I will see you at practice tomorrow. Both teams practicing tomorrow here in Dallas, and game 3 is that an 8:30? Probably an 8:30 Eastern.
No, 7:30. Oh yeah, 8:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
But for us, it's 7:30, which thank God.
I'm very happy about. So thank you, Tim, again. We'll talk to you later this week or whenever, sometime later, maybe. And all right. So let's get into those reads. You know them. We're going to try to get them out here despite these connection issues. And I certainly won't be coming to you from this hotel room again here today. That was rough, but we got through it. So if there's any lag here, you know him. You always see him on the lower third here. Check out Prize Picks right now as the finals roll on. It's the best place to play daily fantasy sports. It's our official daily fantasy sports partner, and they're offering you up to $100 deposit match. 100% deposit match up to $100. Just pick 2 players, pick more or less on the projections. A lot of bonuses right now over on Prize Picks. Could pop up at any point. They had that Tatum one in game 1, so I'd keep an eye out for those. But again, use that code CLNS and you'll get 100% deposit match up to $100. Game time, if you're down here in Dallas, if the Celtics win Wednesday, you could be talking about a potential championship clincher here in Dallas. And if you're in the area or if you're thinking about traveling down for a game 4 where the Celtics could potentially win the championship, Game Time's your app. Go over there and use the code CLNF for $20 off your first purchase. Of course, terms apply. Might want to get ahead on Game 5 if you feel like it is going back to Boston and maybe the Celtics win it at home. Again, this is your chance to get in the house for the Celtics winning their first championship since 2008. So use that code to get a little bit of a breather there. Maybe the Dallas fans give up after a 3-0 lead. We'll see. But check out the Game Time app in the meantime. And HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com/gardenapps and get 1 free appetizer per box while your subscription is active. It's pre-packaged ingredients, laid out instructions, different kinds of boxes. They're all customizable. They can fit your dietary needs. That's what's great about HelloFresh, and it's right to your door. Don't have to go to the grocery store. Don't have to pay for the dinners I'm going to do down here tonight in Dallas. So check HelloFresh.com/gardenapps and get that free appetizer for life. And we made it. We made it through. Thank you, Hotel Wi-Fi. Thank you, Doll, for being here. Sorry about the time change. I screwed that one up. I didn't actually put it in here as 9:30 Central. I had it as 9:30 Eastern. So appreciate everybody hanging around for the show in the chat here. And thanks again to Tim for doing this. Celtics are up 2-0 in this series. We'll get word on Porzingis tomorrow. See how he's doing. Nothing yet from anybody. It looked like he traveled and didn't have anything on his lower body there in terms of braces or anything like that. And he said it wasn't related to the previous injury. So I guess we'll take his word for it. He said he expects to play. So we will see. But that's it here. I got an off day edition of the Garden Report.